Okay, let's move on to verbs. Les verbes. I noticed that most of you struggle in this section because we're dealing with a lot of conjugation, and also sometimes you do not know which verbs to use. So let's do this together. Okay, question number 5. Nous, space, deux frères. So what is this sentence saying? It's saying we, ... deux frères, two brothers. We, two brothers. We have two brothers. So how do you say have in French? It's the verb avoir. Avoir is a verb meaning to have. So if you want to use the verb avoir, firstly you have to conjugate it, right? You have to conjugate it to match the sujet nous. So the correct conjugation is nous avons deux frères. We have two brothers. The next question, vous ... comment? Vous comment? I give you already in the bracket a clue. What is your name? So how do you ask someone for their name? We learned this in the first lesson, and you also used this in your simulation, but you forgot. So how do you ask for someone's name? You use the verb s'appeler, right? To call oneself. S'appeler. And so how do you conjugate it to match vous? It's vous appelez comment? Vous appelez comment? Okay? Please remember that. And lastly, question number 8. Nous à Kuching, Sarawak. So naturally, you can see from this sentence, there's a place, right? Kuching, Sarawak. So that should be giving you a clue. So okay, now you know to live in Sarawak. We live in Sarawak. So what is the verb to live that we have learned in the first 2 chapters? It's habiter. In English, you just have to remember the word like habitation, right? Habitation is a place where one lives. So habiter. So now we know the verb habiter is to be used, but now we have to conjugate the word habiter to match nous. So nous habitons à Kuching, Sarawak. We live in Kuching, Sarawak. Some is not correct. Well, technically it's correct. If you use some, nous sommes à Kuching, it means we are at Kuching. But the question here is asking more of living. Where do you live? Tinggal di mana? So you use the word habiter. So nous habitons à Kuching, Sarawak. Let's come to the l'âge. To speak of your age, I see that a lot of you still repeat the same mistakes about age. Just be careful when we talk about age. In French, we always use the verb avoir. We never use the verb être, okay? Even though in English, when you talk about your age, you say, I am 90 years old, I am 20 years old, you are. So the word are, am is basically from the root verb to be, right? So, but in French, we don't use the verb to be. We use the verb to have. So we use the verb avoir to talk about age. Okay, so we have here j'ai 19 ans, tu as 19 ans, il, elle a 19 ans, blah blah blah. So let's do the questions. Question number 3. Il, ... 60 ans et 65 ans. 60 ans et 65 ans. Sorry, my pronunciation is a bit off today. So the question is, they 60 years old and 65 years old. So they are 60 years old and 65 years old. So in French, we don't use être, right? We don't use the verb to be. We use the verb to have. So what is the correct verb to use here? Is avoir. So when you conjugate it to match il in plural, third person plural is ont. Ils ont 60 ans et 65 ans. So they are 60 years old and they are 65 years old. Sorry, they are 60 years old and 65 years old. But if you do a direct translation, since we are not using the word to be, or être, it means they have 60 years old and 65 years old. The next question, number 4, tu quel âge? So same thing, we always use the verb avoir. So how old are you? Tu as quel âge? So you use the verb avoir matching to is tu as quel âge. It's not tu es quel âge, okay? Please remember, do not confuse the English way of asking about age and the French way of asking about age. In French, we always use avoir, never être. La profession. So when you want to talk about your profession, what you work as, the general formula in writing a sentence about that is you start with a sujet, a pronom sujet, which is basically je, tu, il, elle, blah blah blah. And then plus être, the verb to be, of course you have to conjugate it always, and plus la profession. So now we have the example of sentences that we can say. So for example, you want to say that you are a student. Je suis étudiant and je suis étudiante. Can you hear the difference? Je suis étudiant, je suis étudiante. So the second pronunciation has a t at the end, right? So what is the difference? So the difference is the gender. So if you're a guy and you're saying I'm a student, you say je suis étudiant. But if you're a girl, you say je suis étudiante. So in French, the spelling of a profession changes according to the gender of the person. So what is the formula generally? What you have to do is you have to add an E at the end of the profession nouns. So here the word is étudiant, right? But if you're a girl, you have to add an E at the end. Kena tambah huruf E. So it becomes je suis étudiant, je suis étudiante. Another example is cuisinière. Okay, cuisinière. Cuisinière means chef. So if you're a guy, you say je suis cuisinière. But if you're a girl, you say je suis cuisinière. It's the same pronunciation, cara sebutan dia sama, but the spelling is slightly different. For female nouns, you have to add an E and then you have that accent. Okay? You will see more examples in the future and you will get used to it. It's actually quite straightforward. So, for plural, you have the example, nous sommes astronautes, ils sont astronautes. We are astronauts, they are astronauts. And to know if it's plural or not, there's an S at the end of the noun. You can see that there. Okay? Let's move on to the question. So question number 2, nous étudions. Nous étudions. We students. We are students. So if you see the formula, when you talk about profession, you have the sujet, you have the verb être, and you have the profession. So you see here, nous is the sujet, étudiant is the profession. So what is missing is the verb être, right? But you have to conjugate the verb. So what is the verb to match nous? It's nous sommes étudiants. Okay, we are students. Another example. This one is from the first exercise about Coraline. Quelle est sa profession? Quelle est la profession de Coraline? So her profession is, she said she is a chef, right? A cuisinière. So most of you gave like one worded answer, but what I asked for is a proper sentence. So how do you write a sentence? Again, use that formula. Sujet, être, profession. So you can say elle est chef or elle est cuisinière, or Coraline est chef, Coraline est cuisinière. There's another way of talking about profession, which is not important, but you can also use it here. Elle travaille comme chef, elle travaille comme cuisinière. Sorry, there's a spelling mistake there. Elle travaille comme chef. She works as a chef. Elle travaille comme cuisinière. She works as a chef. Okay? Again, the word chef and cuisinière means the same thing. Okay, now we are at the very last section of our corrections. Thank you for listening until the end. Your patience is highly appreciated. So, the last section is basically the corrections for the first exercise. And we call this kind of exercise la compréhension écrite. It's basically comprehension. So what you have is a text. You'll be given a text, and you have some questions that you have to answer based on that text. It can be in article form, it can be a dialogue. So the questions could be MCQ, could be fill in the blanks, it can be, sentences. So just be prepared. We'll do more questions in the future. So we have the dialogue. What I suggest you to do, if you haven't done it, is you go to Google Classroom, and there's an audio that I recorded of this dialogue. So what I want you guys to do is to take a listen, and I want you to read it out loud, speak it out, practice your sentences. And it's a very fun activity, and it will help with your pronunciation a lot. And you can pretend to be French for a while, okay? Have fun. And this will prepare for your next simulation. Okay, let's just go to the question. First question, Thomas parle à qui? Thomas speaks to who? So all of you got the answer correct. It's just that you didn't answer in the way that I instructed. So here, a friend said Madame Sophie, just one word. But I want a full sentence, so what I want you to write next time is Thomas parle à il parle à Madame Sophie. Okay? Thomas speaks to Madame Sophie, or he speaks to Madame Sophie. I think one of the reasons why you did not write it properly is because you struggle with writing a sentence. So just remember the formula sujet, verb, and complément. So the sujet here is Thomas. What is the verb? Parle à. Well, technically just parle. And to who? À qui? So to Madame Sophie. So Thomas parle à Madame Sophie. And just FYI, Thomas and il is the same thing. They are the third person singular. So how do you conjugate parler to third person singular? So it's parle, il parle, Thomas parle. Okay? Next question, qui est Coraline? Who is Coraline or Coraline? So you got it right. Thomas's cousin. So Coraline is the cousin of Thomas. But how do you write it properly? Here, you almost got it right. It's just that the thing that is wrong is the definite article le. Remember what I said earlier in the first few slides? When you want to put the word the or the article definite in French, it has to match the noun. And you have to see whether the noun is female or male and whether it is plural or singular. So here, cousine. Cousine means female cousin, right? So naturally, it is a feminine noun. So when it is a feminine noun, the correct article should be la cousine, not le cousine, okay? So the answer should be la cousine de Thomas, or what I wanted from you to write full sentence. So Coraline est la cousine de Thomas, or elle est la cousine de Thomas, okay? Okay, the second last question. Elle travaille où? Where does she work? Right? Elle travaille où? She works where? Your friend here puts elle travaille au restaurant. But où means where, so it's not the correct word to put here. The answer is actually already in the text. Here, Coraline says, Je travaille à Nice dans un restaurant malaisien de 3 étoiles s'appelle Malaya. So basically, you just have to change the sujet je to elle, or you can change the sujet je to Coraline. So Coraline travaille à Nice, or elle travaille à Nice, Or you can write the whole thing. You can write Elle travaille dans un restaurant malaisien de 3 étoiles s'appelle Malaya. Or Coraline travaille dans un restaurant malaisien de 3 étoiles s'appelle Malaya. So that's it. You don't have to complicate it. The answer is already in the text. It's just that you have to change the sujet and make sure when you change the sujet, the verb travailler is also changing according to the sujet. Okay? But here you are lucky because the conjugation for travailler, for je, and il or elle is the same. So it's travail. Travaille. Very last question. Finally. Thomas et Coraline ont quel âge? You guys got it right, mostly. You know that Thomas is 19 years old and that Coraline is 25. But you just don't know how to put it in the right sentence. Remember, it's asking about age, right? So, age. So when I ask you about your age, I can ask you, vous avez quel âge? Or tu as quel âge, right? So, you know the question. The answer is simple. How do you reply to vous avez quel âge? You say j'ai 19 ans or j'ai 20 ans, for example, right? But when it comes to Thomas et Coraline, it's plural and they are a third person. So it's ils, I-L-S. You can say ils sont 19 ans et 25 ans. Or you can just say their names. Thomas et Coraline ont 19 ans et 25 ans. Thomas and Coraline are 19 years old and 25 years old. Or they are 19 years old and 25 years old. Okay? Or you can just write it in two separate sentences. Thomas a 19 ans, Coraline a 25 ans. Okay? So it's not that hard. You guys can do it. That's all.